Ole Miss star Trinidad Chambliss is underappreciated, underdiscussed, and underrated, but he's my QB of the week.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast. Cover your favorite draft prospects. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. I'm an NFL draft analyst with Bleacher Report. That's my guy, Keith Sanchez. He is a director of scouting with the Draft Network and 2019 national champion with those LSU Tigers. And as always, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. It's time to talk quarterbacks, guys. We're going to talk about our quarterbacks of the week, those stock rising quarterback performances and those stock falling quarterback performances, all that coming up next. But before that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 back in bonus bets to use freely across the app. QB of the week, Keith. I go, to your neck of the woods, the SEC. It's been a lot of good matchups over there these past couple weeks. And I go to a guy we've talked about a lot, Keith, and that's Trinidad Chambliss from Ole Miss against Oklahoma. And that just vaunted, strong defense that they have with Brent Venables. The completion percentage wasn't great. He was 24-44. They didn't have like the strongest run game. So 54.5 completion percentage, 315 yards passing, one total touchdown. He also added, I think, over 50 yards rushing. This young man is still just playing at a really good level, man. Of course, you wanted to see a little bit more efficiency. But, again, you're going up against a Brent Venables defense with NFL players on the defensive line, at linebacker, in the secondary. And to me, one thing I continue to notice, Keith, last week against Georgia, they had a lead, and they got outscored. I think not by 9 points in the fourth quarter, or whatever it was. He was like 1 of 9 or 1 of 10 in the fourth quarter passing the ball. Right, that moment, that was the first time to me all season. It felt like the moment was just high, and it was more so Kirby Smart dialing up pressure, getting back there to him. All right, to me, what I'd love to see is how quickly he kind of matured. The very next week, they needed a 9-0 run in the fourth quarter to beat Oklahoma because Oklahoma had a lead going into the fourth, and he played well down the stretch, making timely throws, using his legs, playing smart with the football. I just think at the end of the day, this young man is going to continue to make it a conversation. I'll end up having his scouting report up at the draft, at Bleacher Report soon, on my old stomping grounds, at Bleacher Report soon. And right now, I think I have him graded as like a back end of the third guy right now. And okay. I think a team could absolutely, almost in that Russell Wilson range. Remember when Russell Wilson got drafted to Seattle? It was that third, fourth round range. I think Dak Prescott was a fourth round. It's crazy. Dak was a fourth round pick. Russ was a third. I think somebody's going to find value in this young man to where, for example, I throw a team out there to you real quick. The Arizona Cardinals. You say to keep Kyler Murray. Well, you got Jacoby Brissett who's running the offense, and he's running it well for the most part, but he can't give you the off-script playmaking and stuff like that Kyler can, right? It's not the same exact offense. Well, if Kyler gets hurt and you draft a Trinidad Chambliss, you got a guy that can run this offense to a T. The exact same way Kyler runs it, you can do the exact same things you do with Kyler with Trinidad. So I just think teams and the draft community needs to start talking about this young man a little bit more.
Yeah, no, and I think it's because DP how he was introduced to us, right? Meaning that he wasn't even the name starter, right? He wasn't the name starter, so is he still looked in the light as like, oh, this is the backup that came in, and he kind of has a couple tools to win some games. But I mean, I would challenge people to watch the games of watch Ole Miss and compare them to when Matt Corral was leading the charge, and I think round did Matt Corral? Was he a third rounder? Jackson Dart was a first rounder, and we have enough data points like compare them, right? Compare how they execute the offense, compare the throws they make, right? And I agree with you that with Trinidad, and we seen the one thing that we didn't see from Jackson Dart, right, was that winning a big time game at the end of the day, right, against a valid defense. And I agree with you that I was watching for, because the Georgia game, Georgia took off on them, right? And like you said, Trinidad looked overwhelmed. This game, Ole Miss was up, but then Oklahoma came back and appeared to have all the momentum. And then Ole Miss needed to go on a run. So it was that point of when there was a lot of pressure on you, because now Oklahoma has made the resurgence. You're at Oklahoma, right? How do you respond? And I think he responded well. So I agree with that, DP. I'm gonna go with my QB of the week. I'm going with Marcel Reed, DP. And a lot of people, this is another quarterback nobody's talking about. I believe he had a slow start to the season, but him and Lenore Sellers, I believe, did the same exact classification, like redshirt sophomores, pretty like true, and he's draft eligible. And do we need to start having a conversation if this young man ends up being a Heisman contender, right? If we get to draft season and there's conversations and rumblings about, hey, this guy's a 4-4 athlete, then we start talking about the dual threat ability. Then we watch him in a potential SEC championship game. We watch him in a couple playoff games, and he plays well. Where does that put him? And this is a young man that Kirk Herbstreit knew since he was a very young kid, right? And talked and raves about him being a competitor, an athlete, being committed to the process. So he's probably going to check the character box. So Marcel Reed, DP, for me, is my quarterback of the week to walk in the Death Valley. And then he made the play that I think kind of got everybody saying, uh-oh. Right, when he ran the football, and it was because you remembered him last year when he ran the football against LSU defense, and then immediately what I thought about was when Jalen Milroe was that last year when he took off for 4 touchdowns. I was like, is this going to be this type of game? And he might be just as straight line fast as Jalen Milroe, who ran a 4.4 high 4.3 at his pro. So should be interesting.
No, this kid is so. As a runner, he's in that, to me, he's in that Lamar Jackson, JD5 type of range and realm. That like because I can't remember which game it was earlier this season. It was Florida, where he took the QB zone read, he kept it. I think they had an overhang defender crash down, and he dead legged him and just broke his ankles, because it was like on replay, I think on ESPN. I saw it on like Instagram. It was all over the place. YouTube Shorts, people were just posting it everywhere. And I'm like, his ability to stop and start and change directions is very much like Lamar Jackson in terms of he could decelerate, but then when he recelerates, he will blow by you and he will run straight past you. But he gives you that ability to be that true dual threat option. I think his arm is good. Is it elite? No, but it's good. I think he's finding his accuracy and his comfortability in his offense. And then they got playmakers around this young man. And I think, and the crazy thing about it is their rushing attack, because they got a ton of running backs. But ever since they lost Le'Veon Moss, it was Le'Veon Moss and Reuben Owens were the top 2 guys. Moss went down. There's been Reuben Owens and some of the other like third, fourth.
Daniels, I believe.
I think Amari Daniels and stuff like that. They've been just kind of rotating guys in and everything. But when he broke that 40, I think it was like 45-yard run, he did have somebody open. I'm like, you could tell he missed it. And then he was like, well, if y'all gonna park the Red Sea, I'm gonna just go ahead and take it. You know what I mean? And it's like, then you see him weave back cross and make the play to throw to Casey Concepcion for the touchdown. He climbed the pocket, evaded, got out the back door, made the throw in the red zone, right? So as he continues to grow and mature from the pocket, I think for him, and I always say this, I want to see these dual threat quarterbacks learn how to be game managers early in their careers. Because when you get a dual threat kid, a dual threat quarterback, Keith, that learns how to manage the game, that's the ultimate weapon, right? Like that's the ultimate weapon. It's like, okay, 3rd and 10, nothing's there. I can get 5 yards, or I can throw, if it's not there, I just throw the ball away. We live the punt. The drive's going in and a kick. I'm not going to turn the ball over. I'm not going to run around and lose 15, 20 yards, right? I'm not going to let that dual threat ability kick in and then I hurt my team. Learn how to be the game manager. I think as he continues to do that, then it's like, okay, if you pressure me and you playing man, I'm liable to hit you for 50 at any time. I think this is a dangerous young man, and this team continues to press on, Texas A&M is going to be a complete problem for whoever they see, more than likely in the SEC championship game.
Yep, I agree with DP. Let's do this, man. Let's keep this thing going and flowing. And up next, we are talking stock risers, right? Those quarterbacks whose stock are consistently trending upwards for us. And we know there's been a wild quarterback class overall. So this should be a fun conversation. Let's get into quarterback stock risers coming up next.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Stock rising performances from Week 9 of college football for the 2026 NFL Draft. Keith, I go to
Can we do this? I want to ask you a question because I think we had a good data point now to ask this. For QB1, is this for you? Is this a two-man race now at this point between Fernando Mendoza and Ty Simpson? And I want to follow that question up with, is Fernando Mendoza still your clear QB1?
With the injury, I think it was a broken nose Saturday to Dante Moore. I'm assuming they're going to try and mask him up and let him go out there and play, but we'll see. Right now, it's depending on how long he's out, it's Ty Simpson and Fernando Mendoza for me. Those are my top two guys, especially after Week 9 with the injury to Dante Moore. But for that, I only have 3 first-round grades coming into Week 9, and it was those 3 guys: Dante, Fernando, Ty Simpson. I love Ty Simpson, polished quarterback, all of that stuff. He's very much nipping at Fernando Mendoza's heels and everything like that. Fernando still, I have him at 1, but it's like very, very close. Like it's not much separating these 2 dudes. To be honest with you, these 3 dudes, when they're all healthy, I think if all 3 of them were to declare, I think all 3 are top 5 picks, top 5 to top 10 picks, to be completely honest.
Oh, and let's do this. Let's go with a hot name. And we just talked about him in the last segment. Let's throw Marcel Reed into that conversation because I think he offers something totally different from the rest of the street, right? And that's the elite athleticism. Mm-hmm. Is there a point to where you're saying, like, I could buy into him just from what you've seen thus far, that I could buy into him being a first rounder?
Yeah, I could. He's like 6'1", I think 190, and everything like that. So he's probably 6 foot, 190. You know what I mean? Because they give an extra inch or 2. He's probably 6 foot even. But no, I definitely could buy into him being more than likely a late first round pick. I mean, he's playing good ball. Like you just want to, like I said, you just want to see that consistency, protect the football. He had like 2 turnovers, against LSU. Now, granted, LSU's defense is legit, one of the best in the SEC, especially from a secondary standpoint. So it's, he's got to, I want to see him continue to mature from eye manipulation. Like he stares down reads at times, and that brings that defender into the window. If he can start looking guys off, adding that extra polish and savviness from a neck up standpoint, Keith, I think this dude, with his rushing ability, absolutely. And that, again, his arm is good. He had I think everybody was applauded the catch, but he had a throw where he moved to his left against LSU, threw it back over the middle to his right. Of course, you don't want to do that, right? So the decision, fine, it's one of those no, yes situations. Mm-hmm. But it was such a layered throw. Even the defender who went up to go try and bat the ball down couldn't get a hand on it. And then you see the receiver, like it was kind of behind him, the receiver running full speed. He made like the one-hand grab, stayed on his feet, and got yards after the catch and everything. But still, to me, he knows how to layer the ball. So I could definitely buy in into this young man being a late first-round pick for sure.
Yeah, and the thing is, I with him, one, we talked about how I think a lot of people don't realize that he's a draft eligible guy. But two is that he was a starter last year. He's the full-time starter last year, right? So he's going to have 2 complete seasons under his belt, right? A resume of 2 complete seasons under his belt. I look at him, DP, and I'm looking just because what I believe I'm seeing, just watching Texas A&M last year compared to this year. I feel as though I'm seeing growth with Marcel Reed. I feel like he's hitting a corner, a pivot point, a turning point to where I'm seeing him grow as a player and look more comfortable in chaos, right? Or having his own answers for how he's going to figure out the chaotic part of it. And so that's the part where I think I'm going to lean into it. And I'll say this, like, even with Texas A&M, it's not that they lean into him just being a running quarterback.
No.
Like, I think that they put him in, from a developmental standpoint, they put him in complex situations. It's not just easy bubble screens, quick screens, and then RPO action, right? Like, there are some things that he does that doesn't involve him using his legs the entire time. So you talk about stock risers. He's a fast riser for me for what he potentially could provide.
No, I like what he brings, Keith. And I want to talk about a guy that nobody, and I didn't realize he was actually draft eligible, but he's like I think a 5th-year senior, but it's just his final year, 6th year in college football. It was a very highly contested game, went down to the wire, USF versus Memphis, and it was Brendan Lewis, the quarterback from Memphis. He's listed at 6'3", 210 pounds. I like the arm talent, the mobility, 61.4 completion percentage, 307 yards passing, 2 total touchdowns on the day, and they won by 3. And this was a game that they needed to be one of those group of 5 teams to have a shot at making the CFP. Because if they lost this game, I think USF, who was ranked in the top 20, I think it was like 18, they would have moved up even more, putting them in range to potentially make the CFP. But Brendan Lewis, man, I like what I saw from him, Keith. A guy that has a big body, but he's a good athlete. He's a nimble athlete too, in terms of as a mobile quarterback, just a crafty. He's really good footwork. He's patient as a runner. They did like a quarterback. They did a wide receiver throwback where he threw it to the receiver like it was going to be a receiver screen, and they threw it back to him, and it was like a quarterback screen off of it, right? And he was able to get positive yards. He had a beautiful deep ball down the field. Where for me, I always gauge the deep ball. Like, I want to see God hit the guy in stride, right? Don't slow him down. Don't overthrow him. Just hit him right in stride where they don't have to break it. He hit him. It was like a long handoff, beautiful throw. But he throws a very catchable ball. I think he has good arm talent to be able to, in terms of the short to intermediate, to be able to live in the middle of the field and throw those in breakers in the NFL. He has a requisite height to look and find throwing lanes. Definitely a day 3 potential prospect. And Keith, I just think that for what he's doing for Memphis, I hope they I wanted USF to make the CFP because I wanted the nation to see Byron Brown in the CFP because he's a very talented player himself. Got to work on some throwing mechanics, but we talked about him last week. Could be a Raven, could be an Eagle backing up those two, or a Bill. I think Brendan Lewis is a guy that, from a developmental standpoint, like, okay, he might be a little bit of an older prospect, but guess what? At the end of the day, we just talked about it. Drew Brees said you need 50 plus high-level starts from college to the NFL. He's got plenty of starts under his belt, if I remember correctly. So this is definitely a quarterback that, from a stock rising situation, I think people should definitely start looking at on day 3. If you have a veteran that you're like, you know what, man, we need a good number 2 to kind of build up. I think Brendan Lewis from Memphis is a good guy to get your eyes on.
Yep. All right, DP, let's do this, man. We talked about the guys who had their stock rise over this past weekend. Let's talk about a couple quarterbacks, man, whose stock falling, right? They didn't play great football, and they're climbing down the charts, not up the charts. Let's talk about that coming up next.
Let's be honest. Making excuses don't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired. Or it happens to everyone sometimes, right? But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra help, a little extra boost, a little extra support. And that's where Rougit comes in. Rougit.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED, designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your front door. Visit Rougit.com/LockedOnNFL to get 15% off your first order. That's Rougit.com/LockedOnNFL. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnNFL. And don't forget to use our code LockedOnNFL so they know we sent you. Rougit. Stop making excuses and start making moves. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. What it does is simple. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push for points and the win. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Again, that's $300 back in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and everyday shot, for being our everydayers. Those stock falling quarterback performances from week 9, Keith, I go right to my guy, and that is Taylen Green, quarterback from Arkansas. He played. The crazy thing about it, he was having a good game. He was having a good game up until the fourth quarter. He ended up with, I think, 3 interceptions in the fourth quarter of this game. He didn't fumble or anything, but they had 4 consecutive drives where it was a turnover. Auburn's defense started just clamping everything. And, it just was a situation where because he threw a pick 6, they baited him into tried to throw a quick hitch, and they were playing zone, and the outside corner read his eyes and jumped it, right? And then it just kind of snowballed for him after that. It's I felt like he started pressing because he was trying to get it back, right? He was playing good. And one thing that I think since Bobby Petrino took over, their defense is still abysmal. They give up points every single week. It's still a terrible defense. But from me, I'm watching Taylor, I was like, okay, he's starting to manage the game a little more. It's not just putting it all on his shoulders. He's managing the game. They're leaning on the traditional run game, getting under center, handing the ball off, traditional play action, stuff like that. And so he's been managing the game a lot better than he did prior to Sam Pittman getting fired. But, that fourth quarter was rough, Keith. He was pressing. After that pick 6, he's like, I got to get it back. And it was just like, if I'm Bobby Petrino, I call him to the sideline, hey, relax. Calm it down. I can see the look in your eyes. You want to get that back. Calm down. We don't need that. And then I felt like he just started putting the ball in harm's way, trying to get that. It's like we say in basketball. There's no 4-point. Well, correction. There is a 4-point shot if you get fouled, but right. There's no true 4-point shot. No matter how deep you shoot it, Steph can shoot it from the logo. It's still 3. So if you're down 5, that it's not gonna get you one shot. It's not gonna get you that 5 points. So that's one of the things with him, is that he puts himself in that hero ball mentality. And Saturday against that Auburn defense, it caught up to him.
Yeah, it definitely caught up to him. And I think you nailed it right on the head, DP. That I think he was trying to do the Superman thing, trying to win the game with every single throw, right? Every throw was going to be a big play touchdown, and we need to get these points. And I understand it, right? You've been in shootouts the entire year because of the defense being bad, right? Every game has been a shootout, and you think that we have to keep pacing. And, you just don't know people's mentality. It could have came in, it's like, hey, if we score 25 points, we can win this game, right? And you thinking, okay, now I got to score 30, got to score 35 points, right? And it keeps elevating and keeps going. So I agree with you. Hopefully for him, it's a learning lesson, because I remember we talked about him early on in the season, just even maybe preseason, right? Just a prospect with a lot of physical tools there that he has at his disposal. DP, I'm going to go with Iowa State quarterback Rocco Becht. And Rocco was a quarterback that I thought had some grittiness to him, right? And obviously everybody, because of Brock Purdy, everybody's going to pay attention to the 6'1", 6'2" Iowa State quarterback that has playing experience, to see if there's another Brock Purdy there. And just the game against It was the BYU game, DP, because they were in the game. And then everything just snowballed, right? Everything snowballed and went bad. And then, Rocco Becht, I believe, ended up with 3 interceptions. And it's like, man, and it's the interceptions. It was the sacks that he took,
like
right? It was just bad decisions. And it's like, man, you got to stop putting your team in negative spots, because they were competing with this team, right? And with Rocco, and I put this in his scouting report, right, is that it's the Achilles heel thing. Like, the same thing that makes him, an exciting quarterback are the same things that leaves you throwing your headset on the ground and saying, oh, what were we doing, right? So with Rocco, I'm going to put him in a stock faller for this week, just because I think there were some bad decisions. Like, there's a good Rocco and a bad Rocco, and we've seen more bad Rocco than good Rocco.
Yeah, that game was just so uncharacteristic for him, because he does not turn the ball over at that type of rate.
Clip,
you know what I mean? He doesn't turn the ball over like that. He's a good quarterback, a guy that's really smart with the football more times than not. So I'm with you on that, Keith. Definitely was one of the guys that I was like, man, that's a tough. Shout out to BYU. BYU looks like a team that's going to be reckoned with Hank Bachmeier, who's a true freshman at quarterback. Man, like, this team is tough. It's physical. They're going to give a lot. If they get in the dance, they're going to get some teams from some of these bigger conferences a run for their money, because they're going to punch you in the mouth, and they're well coached. And it just kind of is what it is. Because I think at one point they were down 7, and I felt like it was an announcer's jinx. The announcer was like, "Yeah, Rocco Becht usually performs well in these moments." And next thing you know, it was a pick 6. I was like, That's what you can't do. You gotta let the ball snap and then let him make the throw before you make that type of statement, man. But usually he plays better in that type of situation. Keith, I'm gonna go to my final stock down guy. And this is a guy that we both like, and he's played well the last month since the firing of the whole entire coaching staff, and that was Nico Iamaleava. Indiana had him looking out of sorts on Saturday, man. And shout out to that Indiana's defense, Keith. We give Fernando Mendoza, Elijah Surratt, Omar Koo, that offense a lot of love. Kurt Signetti has built a really good defense over there. I think they came into that game only allowing, I think, 11, 12 points a game, right? So, like, this is a really tough defense. And for Nico, like, it was bad out the gate. I think either the first or second drive, he threw a pick 6. You know what I mean? He finished the game 13 of 27, 48% completion percentage, 113 yards. Yards per attempt was 4.2 yards per attempt, 0 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And I believe he was sacked 3 times. So it just was a rough game, rough outing for him. And that entire team, man, like, they came in like they were a buzzsaw, right? Because they were the ones who that was the game that got James Franklin fired. No, that was Northwestern. They were the game before that beat.
Well, they turned the heat up. Yeah, they were like, how did you lose to UCLA? Yeah.
Facts. It was just like, for them to put Penn State in the blender and beat Penn State and punch them in the mouth, and then Penn State loses the next week to Northwestern and everything like that. This team has been playing well, man. I think they beat Maryland in week 8 and everything. Was a talented team, young freshman quarterback. And everybody's kind of worried, like, man, like, this is a team that could, like, end up knocking Indiana from being undefeated. And Nico was going to be a big part of that. Did not have the game. The offensive line didn't protect him well. He didn't make the right decisions. The play caller, I think it's a Neuheisel. What was his 4th game calling plays? And he looked like it was his 4th game calling plays. Kurt Signetti had them in a straitjacket. They weren't letting them get away. Weren't letting them do nothing. That D-line, the front 7, the secondary. Listen, just to let you guys know, if you have not watched D'Angelo Pons, the small corner from Indiana, please do so. This dude is good. That's one thing I'm going to tell you. He's a really good corner, man, so get eyes on him. But, yeah, Nico Iamaleava, tough outing in week 9, Keith.
Yeah, no, definitely. And he was somebody that we were just starting, I feel like, to get excited about. Like, hey, this might be the guy that we were,
look like a different cat. Like, he looked like a different quarterback.
Yep, 100%. Well, DP, that wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to my everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. Every listener is greatly appreciated here over at Locked On NFL Draft. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. On tomorrow's show, it's going to be Watch the Tape Wednesday, guys. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.